Ruthless Robbie Lawler. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing great.
So, former UFC welterweight champion, former Elite XC middleweight champion, and all-around MMA legend. Uh, I heard I was going to interview Robbie Lawler, and I instantly go back and start watching a ton of your fights, and it's like the best time ever. Do you ever go back and just watch your own fights or your highlights and just sit there entertained? Like you have to, right?
No, I don't really watch any of my fights. I'm kind of living in the present. Those things were great at the time, but focusing on how I can get better now and trying to get my teammates better also.
Yeah, I saw your boy Logan Storley letting his hands go at the last Bellator event. He almost knocked out Neiman Gracie. He dropped him, hurt him, and I know you were cornering him for that fight, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. He fought really well. First time really standing up and trusting in his stand up. He went 25 minutes. Neiman's a really good fighter. I mean, has decent hands and was trying to set up some things, but Logan kept the pressure on him and hurt him a few times and dug deep when it mattered.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to watch, because he has all the wrestling chops in the world. So it was great to see him come out and, like you said, feel confident in his hands and really go to work. And the whole time I'm like, I see some Robbie Lawler in there. And so your style, man, it's so aggressive and ferocious. It's the way fighters want to fight, but don't have the balls or the skill to even do so. So I know you came up with Pat Miletich and the Miletich fighting systems, but you had that intensity when you got there. So when did you realize that you had that sort of just intensity burning inside of you that other people didn't have?
Well, I did martial arts pretty much my whole life and wanted to fight my whole life. I had an older brother who beat me up, and I wanted to train and do martial arts. So my dad let me in Taekwondo. I wanted to do boxing, but he put me in Taekwondo, and I just kept working on my stuff and my striking. I'd watch boxing, Tuesday night fights, continue to work on my skills, and it was just a natural progression. But I feel like that's just how I fight. That's how I play sports in general. Even when I'm just always trying to do big things, trying to finish, I guess, and get after it. And, shows when I fight.
It's truly special. It absolutely shows. It's so remarkable. And is there any fighters that you watch that you kind of admire, or you see their style and you kind of have the same sort of love for it like you do your own style?
I mean, well, obviously, growing up, I just watched as much fighting as I could, learned something from Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, just like trying to pick and choose bits and pieces from different styles and different fighters, and watch movies growing up like Rockies and those types of movies. So it's just like always thought, like, push comes to shove, are you gonna dig deep and get after it, or are you gonna crumble? So that my mindset was always get after it, figure out a way to win, and that's what I've always tried to do. Sometimes it didn't work out that way, but that's always the intent.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of those things you can't really teach, right? It's like you either have it or you don't. It's like a killer instinct or something that just you either have it or you don't. Uh, so I know, like we said, you came up around in Milicic, Matt Hughes, Tim Sylvia, Jens Pulver, these guys, and you were relatively young compared to them. Now you're down at Sanford MMA and you're surrounded by, we'll say, the new era of world-class mixed martial artists. So having seen, all these years from the way fight camps used to be ran to the way they run now, what would you say is the biggest difference that you notice?
I would say back then you just kind of trained all the time and pushed it. But obviously, when I first started training, there was probably like 20 core guys in the gym, and now we have 65, 75 guys. So it's a lot of guys and a lot of different looks, heights, just different styles. So the sport's grown a lot from when I first started fighting, and I feel like a lot of guys are more well rounded right away and ready to go. But I definitely think they need to continue to not just work on their skills, work on their toughness, working on getting after it a little bit, just so that they know that they can push through it. But it's part of the sport. It's part of growing and figuring out who you are as a fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Was Tim Sylvia really wearing his UFC heavyweight belt to the grocery store?
I don't know about that. I didn't follow him to the grocery store, so who knows?
Yeah, that was just one of the rumors I heard, and I didn't know who else to ask about it, so I figured.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, even if he did, I mean, he was obviously proud of his accomplishments, and to each their own, right?
Oh, I totally respect it. I would do the same exact thing. Like I said, if I were Robbie Lawler, I would just sit around watching Robbie Lawler fights all day. I don't know how you don't do that. There's like when it comes to just not being able to look away from something, you got a Robbie Lawler fight. That's like, all right. So you're coming off of a TKO victory over Nick Diaz. It was a rematch 17 years after the first one. Fantastic fight, by the way. You really came out on a mission and really stuck to the game plan. And it was a great fight. Nick put up a great effort, but it was your night. Now, you're always the consummate professional, right? Like it's strictly business. But like, is there a part of you that was just really happy to get that one back?
I mean, obviously it was a big fight. He's a big name. First time coming back for a while for him, but he was that fight when it got offered to me. I was excited. It was the first time in a while that I was excited to fight and go out there and showcase my skills and get after it training wise. And he brought the best out of me. But it didn't really change anything. 17 years later, I mean, I won this time. He still beat me last time. I learned a lot from that first fight, and that's got me to where I am today. So I wouldn't change anything. It's part of the sport.
Yeah, it was really poetic justice. I mean, the first time he won with the right hook, then you came with the right hook to win the second one. What does it feel like stopping someone who is traditionally as durable as Nick Diaz? Like, I think you might be the only one that's ever beat him due to strike. I know a cut stopped him, but like actually TKO'd him. You might be the only one.
I mean, it is. I mean, I've stopped a few people here and there, so it's just part of the sport. It was just my night, and he came out and fought hard. I did a great job of getting ready. My coaches did a great job of pushing me, making sure my skills were where they needed to be, and I was in shape. So that's what showed that night, and it was my night.
Yeah, you definitely stopped a lot of people, some of which I don't even know if they ever woke up from. Like some of them so brutal. So he won one, you won one. Do you think we're gonna get a third?
I have no idea. I don't think so, but I haven't really like looked into it, or like I'm just kind of working on my skills, trying to get stronger and those types of things. And UFC will come to me with something good, and I'll be back in there.
So right now you have nothing on the books. You're just staying sharp and helping your teammates get ready.
Yeah, just trying to make sure I'm in shape, work on my body, make sure there's no nicks and bruises, and just doing it right.
Yeah, and I mean you've been doing it for so long. Like you looked fantastic against Diaz, and like you've consistently brought it like every time over so many years, and like you still have it. So like, what do you think is the biggest keys to longevity in such a tough sport?
Um, a foundation, starting doing it right from the start, and making sure you're taking care of your body. I mean, you can't just keep running through injuries and working through injuries. You got to be smart, listen to your body, and make sure you're taking care of it. Know you have to take rest. It's not always training. Sometimes you need to rest and let yourself heal. So it's just figuring out your body and having good training partners around you so that you can work on your skills and not get beat up too bad, so you can come out there and put on a show. But really it comes down to base fundamentals. I'm not like my skill set is not something where I need to be super fast, super this or that. It's methodical. I break you down with how I fight. So I'm not necessarily using athleticism. Sometimes that comes out, but it's more sound fundamentals, and those types of things last forever as you get old. They don't deteriorate as much as speed does. So
Yeah. Would you say that contributes to why your cardio is so good late in fights? Like you're still coming out and swinging hammers. Is it because of your technique? It's muscle memory, it's fluid mechanics?
yeah, I think it's those types of things, but it also comes down to when you're in there, and well, when I'm in there, I'm fighting with my spirit. So when you're having fun and you're fighting with your spirit, you're not gonna get tired. It's like those kids. You look at kids who are like 8, 5, 10. They're running around. They never get tired. Why? Because they're having fun. They're just enjoying themselves. So I feel like if I'm having fun and letting everything hang out, I'm gonna last forever. It's just part of it. It's when when it's work and you're not having fun, and it's just rough and sluggish. So try to keep it light and try to enjoy every moment.
Man, what a fantastic analogy. That is great. Like that needs to be written on a wall somewhere. That is really good. It makes total sense though. Like we all were kids and I don't ever remember being tired as a child just because everything was so much fun and light.
Yeah, you would play all night if your parents didn't call you in. You would
Right.
just keep
Yeah.
playing and playing and running as fast as you can. And I mean, that's kind of sport. If you're enjoying yourself, having fun, then you can fight well.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, what do you do for like recovery at this stage in your career? I was talking with Logan, and he was telling me about CBD and how he uses it to combat inflammation, and how he drinks the Kill Cliffs and it has it in it, and the inflammation is just really held at bay from it. Do you do that as well, or what kind of recovery tactics do you use?
Yeah, I definitely use the CBD recovery drink. Not only does it have CBD and it has some vitamins, ginseng, stuff like that. But it tastes good too, which is awesome. But obviously, I do cold tub, saunas, those types of things. But like, if you're doing multiple workouts, it's nice to get a little energy boost from a little bit of CBD and caffeine and a little vitamins in there. And Killcliff did a great job of having an amazing drink. I mean, there's tons of different flavors, and my favorite flavor is the orange one, blood orange. But like that's just me. I've always been an orange fan, so that's what I drink, and that's what I do.
Uh, was there ever a fight that slipped through your fingers that maybe you wanted, but it just never materialized?
Uh, Not really. I mean, you're always looking for the best fight. I mean, there's so many fights out there. There's lots of opportunities, right place at the right time. That's kind of how the sport is. And no, I don't ever look back at anything. You always want to fight the best guys, and that's who I've always been.
What do you think the sport's going to look like in the next 10 years? You think it's going to resemble what we have now? You think it'll be drastically different?
I think it's going to just continue to grow. I think there's a lot of kids now who are starting training full time at really young. I mean, and they're going to have sound fundamental wrestling, jujitsu, boxing, kickboxing, because that's what they do. They're going to spend the time doing that. So there's, it's going to be more tactical, and it's going to, sports going to keep evolving, and different styles are going to come to the forefront, and then somebody's going to try to combat that. And that's awesome. That's how sports are. Trying to get better, trying to change something up to keep it fresh, and sports got to continue to grow. And if you want to do this, you can't keep doing the same stuff. So I think that's what coaches are doing. That's what fighters are trying to do, trying to figure out new ways to do the same type of stuff.
Well, if there's anything that you could personally change about the sport, whether it be a rule or the way it's handled or whatever, what do you think that would be? Just one thing you could
Uh,
change.
I would obviously like the fighters to get paid more, but I'd also like them to have something like a pension after the fact so that they're getting paid, those types of things. Because it's like obviously everyone's not going to make it to the highest level and make a whole bunch of money winning world titles, but I mean, once you get to the UFC, Bellator, these big organizations, I think there's needs to be some sort of kind of like the NFL does. I mean, they take care of their guys after, or at least try to, and the NBA does a great job. But baseball probably does the same thing, where guys are continuing to get something after they're done with the sport. So if there's a way that we could get this for the fighters, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Especially, you fighters put so much into it. Like their entire lives get poured into it. And like you said, not everyone gets to the top tier. So yeah, a pension would be fantastic. Absolutely. You got any sponsors or people you'd like to give a special shout out or thank you to?
Yeah, I mean, Kill Cliff's a huge sponsor of mine. Black Rifle Coffee, everyone at Sanford MMA, all my training partners there. And I mean, that's what it's all about. If you don't have good training partners, good coaches, and a good atmosphere, it's going to be tough to get there. You can still get there, but it definitely makes it easier when you have all those things. And Sanford MMA has done a great job of putting a lot of those things together, getting a lot of good fighters, and we're building and getting better. And that's what the sport's all about. I'm getting up there in age, so at some one point in time, I was the young kid, and everyone was giving me their knowledge. So that's what the sport's all about. That's what sport's all about, is giving back so that it can continue to grow. And when those guys get older, then they're gonna give back, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, each one teach one, as I always say. Absolutely. Well, Robbie Lawler, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. And I got to say thank you for pouring your all into your art over so many years. You inspire a lot of people, including myself, and it's truly appreciated. So thank you for that.
Yep. Thank you for having me.